All right. Well,
We are starting.
I want to thank you all for coming. And I just want to tell you that yesterday I broke down and did something I didn't think I was ever going to do, but I went and rented the new Star Wars video. And I was watching it, and I was thinking that our lives really are kind of like movies. You know, they've got beginnings, middles, ends, plots. But the good thing is that we get to decide what kind of movie we're going to live in. Is it going to be a comedy? Is it going to be a tragedy? Well, and I also thought that this campaign is also a little bit like a movie. And I'm thinking, since this is my campaign for U.S. Senate, I'm going to make it into the sort of story that I want, the sort of adventure that I want. And so I've decided this is an action-adventure movie. See, we're on the brink of all these horrible things, nuclear meltdowns and global warming, but we are at a point in history where we can pull it out, where we can, if we stick to our guns, if we try very hard, and if we don't despair and don't give up, we can save the world. We can fix things. And literally, not only can we, but I think we must. And so I'm going to take this opportunity to officially unveil my campaign poster. I don't know how well you can see this, but this says here, vote for me if you want to live. That's me with a little Green Party rope. I'm going to pass these around. You can look at them. Sure. So the good thing is that we are actually doing it. We have gotten on the ballot statewide, and enough people voted for me in the primaries that my name will be on the ballot for U.S. Senate in the fall. It will be. Thank you. And the reason we were able to do that is we had over 50 volunteers in 20 different counties going out, literally knocking on doors, door to door, and getting enough petition signatures to put me on the ballot. That in itself is a great victory for the Green Party. And in addition, we have all our wonderful candidates like Bob and Joe and Connie and Dennis. And so I was just telling Nathan from Cincinnati there, it's been literally over 2 years since I've heard anybody accuse the Greens of not being a real party. We are a real party, and we're really going to do this. We're really going to pull it out. We're going to save the planet. We're going to save democracy. And the way we're going to do this is by sending a Green to the U.S. Senate. I am running to beat Rob Portman. I'm not just running to get some numbers for the Green Party, because it's time. And that's the theme for my campaign. It's time to send a Green to the Senate. I'm not a multimillionaire. Rob Portman is a multimillionaire. I'm a machinist. I go to work every day, 8 hours. I'm running a big grinding machine. It's loud, it's noisy, it's dirty. I come home every day exhausted. But I understand what Ohioans are going through. Rob Portman has no clue. Rob Portman is living off his investments. His salary as a senator is just sort of the gravy on his plate. He doesn't work for us. Greens will work for the people. So I can see my time is rapidly running out. I need a team. Every good action movie, the hero goes and he picks up people along the way, and together they form an unlikely team that can defeat the empire. So I'm going to have a sign-up sheet for volunteers, and I'd like everyone to consider working on a campaign of a Green Party person. Maybe it's not me, maybe it's Joe, maybe it's Bob, but we need people in the leadership roles. We need things like campaign managers and volunteer coordinators. Just like the 50 petitioners are the ones who really put me on the ballot, and the election team is the one who will will really put us into office. So if you're a Green, if you've had enough conviction to come to this meeting, please consider taking the next step and join one of the campaign teams, because we really need not just to run, we need to win. Thank you. And so I'm actually over my time, but I'll take 30 more seconds and just say, when we win, every good action-adventure movie has the happy ending. So when we win, we Greens will restore democracy. We will restore economic justice. We will restore the ecological systems that support all of us and that are being destroyed every day by our government and our economy. Those are the things, once we're in office, we will fix those things. And we know this because Greens are fixing them in other countries all over the world. So it can be done, it will be done, and we will do it. Thank you.
Hey, Joe?
Yeah. Oh.
The next one. Joe M.
Oh. And I'm proud to introduce Joe Manchin. He's running for U.S. Congress.
I really wasn't aware that I was going to be speaking today, believe it or not. So I don't have any kind of regular stump speech prepared. But what I like to do is go over some of the issues that I want to work for. I want to work for the American people, unlike my opponent. I'm running against Pat Tiberi, who's the Republican incumbent. He's been in office since 2000, and I don't like anything about the guy. He supports the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's the biggest gripe I've got about Pat Tiberi. He's voted to fast-track it, and he's also used his position and his power on the House Ways and Means Committee to coerce a bunch of Democrats to support the Trans-Pacific Partnership and to vote to fast-track it. Obama's signed the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and it's a bad deal for the American people. What it's going to do, it's going to sell the American people's sovereignty over our nation down the river to these multinational corporations that own the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And that's my main reason for running against Pat Tiberi. I want everybody to grab one of my flyers. I've got a bunch of flyers sitting out on the table as you go out the door. And take a look at what I'm proposing to do. I want to propose an amendment to the Constitution to reverse the Supreme Court's decision on the Citizens United decision. I think most people are familiar with what Citizens United is. Basically, it legalized bribery throughout the American system of government. And that's something we got to fix. Until we get campaign finance reform passed by reversing Citizens United, multinational corporations are going to be buying our representatives in Washington over and over again. And basically, that's how the multinational corporations have taken over the American system of government today. If you look at Pat Tiberi's war chest, he's got over $3.3 million in it right now. And I'm sure that's not coming from the American citizens. It's coming from the multinational corporations that own Pat Tiberi. That's what needs to be fixed. Another issue on my flyer here is some of the corporations that own the government are multinational oil corporations. And these multinational oil corporations are getting billions of dollars of our tax money every year in tax subsidies from the American government. We need to eliminate these tax subsidies completely, go into the multinational oil corporations, and use those tax subsidies for American citizens and small cooperative businesses that invest in American manufactured solar and wind power technology. That's how we're going to eliminate America's wars for oil. We got to get off of oil, and providing tax subsidies for people that invest in solar and wind power technologies is one of the ways to do it. And once we're off of oil, that's going to help eliminate America's wars for oil. All of the ugly wars that the United States is involved in today are all for oil. That was the main reason why the United States government and Great Britain got together, and they overthrew the democratically elected government of Iran, and they put the Shah of Iran into power in the 1940s, so that British Petroleum and the Arabian American Oil Corporation can go into Iran and steal the oil. And that's what Syria is all about today. The conflict in Syria is all about stealing oil. It's just evil and greed that's taking place in our government today to help multinational oil corporations steal oil. And that's what all the wars are all about today. We got to cut the military spending by at least 50%. And if we do that, the United States is still going to have the largest military budget of all the nations in the world. So it's ridiculous the amount of money that we're spending on wars today. And they're all wars for oil. Another thing that I want to fight for is a single-payer health care system. Obamacare was not really a step in the right direction. Obamacare was pretty much written by the... Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, well, that's the last thing I wanted to cover was single-payer health care, so any questions?
5 minutes, you can do it however you want, you get 5.
There's no questions, Dave?
Questions?
No,
Okay.
no time.
What county are you running?
I'm running in the 12th district.
There's a bunch of stuff going on.
That covers all of Delaware, Licking, and Morrow counties, portions of
Okay,
Marion.
guys, ready? Go.
Howdy, folks. I apologize for my voice. I've been sick a lot lately, and sometimes I get happy and I start singing, and it just wears my voice out even more. But we focus in the Green Party on 4 Ps: the people, planet, peace, and profit. My campaign has 4 M's, and those P and M's mean a nightfall, the post-meridian time to draw the shades on the Democrats and the Republicans, because their time is over. It's nighttime for them. The Green Party is the new dawn for America. So for the people part, the first M on my campaign is Medicare for all. As you all can see here, I'm wearing the SPAN t-shirt underneath my uniform here. Healthcare is a human right. I fully believe that healthcare is a human right. Prior to the 1970s, when managed healthcare started coming into our system, that's where our healthcare costs increased. Insurance companies are only interested in profit, not for caring for people. That's why we need a Medicare program for all Americans. Planet. You know, planet, when we talk about it in the Green Party, we talk about Earth. My planet is Mars. I want us to get our asses to Mars, as Arnold Schwarzenegger said in Total Recall. I have a friend who worked for NASA and who's now has to work in the commercial system. He doesn't mind it too much, but he would much rather be one of those people going to the moon and to the Mars. Our country needs that vision of a future beyond what we have here. That's where we grow. So with that Mars exploration, we need to invest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We need to improve the education system for everybody, and that includes free college and elimination of student debt. I myself owe $65,000 out of $42,000 that I borrowed, and it's been 8 years since I graduated college. I still owe that money. I probably still owe that money for the next 15, 20 years. Peace. The peace portion of my program is military. As a veteran myself, My daily job is I work with veterans on a daily basis to help them overcome their barriers and help them become self-reliant. I connect them to resources in the community that they're not aware of. I fight for them on a daily basis to get the benefits that they're entitled to. I've recently helped several vets get their jobs back at the VA, as well as being a legal representation for them where the VA has fired them illegally. We're losing 22 veterans every day to suicide. That's 22 people. This is the most threatened minority in the United States today, is the military. There's not 22 Mexicans killing themselves every day. There's 22 veterans killing themselves every day. There's not 22 black people killing themselves every day. It's 22 veterans. Yes. But this is suicide that we're talking about. 22 people that are killing themselves because the government has failed them. They've done their service and they deserved the treatment that they have fought for. And they sacrificed their time, their talent, and their lives for. I myself served 8 years and I'm not considered a veteran by the government. I say to hell with them. I am a veteran. I serve my country and I want to make sure all my brothers and sisters, as well as everybody here, can achieve what they are entitled to in life. And that's a good living. To not be pressured by having bills hanging over your head and wondering if you're going to be able to afford medication or food. It should not be a choice between medication and food. Medication should be available and cheap. And lastly, we talk about profit. My profit is marijuana. That's the largest cash crop in the United States. It's going to be the largest cash crop in the United States for the next 15, 20 years. I fully support the total legalization of marijuana. It is the absolute best treatment for PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and one of the best treatments for cancer that we have available. And it's ignorant that we have it still illegal this many years, over 100 years since they first started passing legislation as a means to suppress minorities. We all now know that marijuana is an effective medication for several different ailments, and we absolutely need to take the next step to make sure that it's legal and available for all those who need it. So I said this is a PM speech. Last PM is a postmortem. The postmortem that we're looking at is the Democrats and Republicans. They're no longer supporting the citizens of America. We see where their interests lie. It all lies in their donors. I've never accepted a donation from anybody who owns a business, much less a business. All my campaigns, I've spent less than $1,000. I've gotten over 6,000 votes. Yes, I'm about to wrap up. So let me just say, the only way we can move our country forward is by voting for independent candidates, specifically in Ohio, Green Party candidates. And I would appreciate everybody's support this year in the election, next election, and the following elections. I appreciate and love every one of you.
Okay, I'm Connie Goodell Newton, and I'm running for state representative in the 18th district. That is downtown Columbus and the surrounding neighborhoods. I would just like to tell you a little bit about myself and the issues that are motivating me to run for office. So my background is I work as a criminal defense attorney, so I have a law degree. I go into court every day, and I see the court system at work. And so every day I see friends and neighbors being run through the court system, the criminal injustice system. And I've come to care really deeply about my clients as individuals and as neighbors. I realize that a lot of the people that I see in court every day are people from my community. So a lot of the issues that affect my clients cut really deeply and affect me on a personal level too. So that is where a lot of my campaign comes from. I am often down in the trenches as a guardian ad litem for abused and neglected kids. I go to people's homes. Sometimes I go to heroin addicts' homes and see how their children are living. We have an opiate crisis in Ohio, and I see people punished for this daily. And I think how the criminal justice system is treating these people is as if it's a criminal issue, not a healthcare or medical issue. And what I really see is that there is such a huge need for mental health and addiction services that is a huge unmet need in Ohio. So a lot of people who are actually desperate to get treatment for their opiate addictions are not able to find the treatment they need. Without health insurance, a lot of treatment is not available. So this has gotten a little bit better as more people have acquired health insurance in the past couple years. So often counseling or rehab services were contingent on whether you have health insurance or not. I have had clients who had to detox in jail because they could not get into rehab. That's really dangerous. People die in jail by detoxing in jail. That is super important to me. You know, all the time I see kids who are in the foster care system and they've been abused, and so they are flight risks. And sometimes if there isn't a facility, a secure facility that can house these children, they are actually incarcerated. So these are kids who haven't committed a crime and they're put in detention. So we need to end the drug war. Marijuana can be legalized, and it can be done with very little, by using existing agencies such as the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Commerce to regulate medical marijuana and marijuana for recreational use. I also would like to raise the minimum wage. And I would call this trickle-up economics. I think that it'll really benefit our whole economy to invest in workers. People will be able to afford their basic lifestyle needs. Rent has gone up and wages have gone down. What I would really like to see is, you know, I'm very lucky to live in an integrated neighborhood. I live in a middle-class black neighborhood, and I have some of the best neighbors on the planet. Our neighborhood is being threatened by developers who want to develop our neighborhood, kick out a lot of the lower-income people, and profit, frankly, by taking away housing and pushing out our black residents. I really want to promote black homeownership and you know, protect that. There is a lot of housing inequality that needs to be worked on. Another crisis that I mentioned earlier is our nation as an incarceration nation. I've heard the statistic that 1 in 3 black men is incarcerated. This has a huge effect on our society, on families and communities, and you know, it's expensive to lock up our neighbors. It costs our whole society. So I believe I'm out of time, and thank you, everybody. I'd love to talk more about my issues and ideas, and I will be there tonight at the Walrus. It is at 5:30, so I hope some of you can come out for that tonight, and we'll talk more about these critical issues. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Bob Fitrakis, co-chair of the State Green Party. Yes, I'm running for county prosecutor. Let me tell you why. Initially, the Democrats have been pretty gutless and haven't run anyone against the county prosecutor for 16 years, 4 terms. After I filed and announced the first people I was going after was the mayor-elect. In a bribery scandal, they filed the city council president to run for county prosecutor. The other interesting news, the county prosecutor then came to the Near East Area Commission, where I'm an elected member. the Board of Zoning and Development, and announced a new program to allow up to 3 felonies, nonviolent, to be abated. And he said, I'm sure Bob Fitrakis will support this. And it's actually a really good plan. Hard to believe it comes from a Republican, and they could have done this a long time ago. But that does not deter us from going forward with what we need to do. Number one, right, under Ohio law, you can file a complaint. If the police don't want to pick it up, you can send that to the prosecutor. You can go directly to the prosecutor. And here's what I'm thinking. We now have frackers upriver. I'd like nothing more when they poison our people for someone to file a criminal charge so I can frog walk them and put them before a grand jury and lock them up. And Black Lives Matter. And in order to restore the Constitution and the 14th Amendment for equal protection, any police officer that uses excessive force and kills a black person, minority, or any citizen is going to jail. I don't believe in the death penalty, but I do believe contemplation for life in prison, because I don't need the FOP endorsement. I mean, the way it works is they all want the FOP endorsement. What I want is respect for the Constitution that the FOP has pledged to uphold. 3, corruption. Right? We live in Columbus is a one-party system. It's a one-party system. There's 2 corporate officials in jail for bribing a public official. The lobbyist who set up the deal is in jail. Red Flex cameras, these cameras that act like the mafia. Hi, we've got your picture. If you don't give us $95, we're going to send it to the court, and then the insurance company is going to rip you off by raising your rates. It's a protection racket. Who's missing is the public official they bribe, who I believe to be the new mayor of this city, Andrew Ginther. I will make it a top priority to add the bribed public official to the jail cells, and hopefully they can work out together. I'm a humanitarian. Okay. Decrim. I will not arrest anyone with drugs in Franklin County. We will use that to get them into treatment. Anyone arrested for drugs has to be friends of the CIA, the real drug importers who have flooded our markets, friends of the Taliban, friends of the cocaine importing agency. Those are the people I will go after and put in jail. Who else needs to be on that list? Well, just briefly. The site is, as the prosecutor, this is the capital. Think Manhattan and how that worked with the bankers, Elliot Spitzer, right? We can go after all these corrupt charter schools that have committed felonies by sending paper in here and doing business in here and lying and forging official public records. We can go after those people. And again, we can go after the corrupt people in the Department of Natural Resources who have allowed radioactive frack water to be put in our water. They all need to be arrested. They're committing crimes in the Capitol, and we need to raise these issues, and I'd like to be the prosecutor here because this is the seat of inherent crime perpetrated by the Dems and the Republicans. I thank you.